Hey there, listeners! Welcome to the newest up and coming music podcast on the market, Rhapsody in Reverie. I'm one of your hosts, Katarina Kapatanakis.
And I'm your second host, Adrienne Beckham.
I don't know why that's. I don't know why that's funny.
We started a podcast.
Wow.
Here's the thing. We started this podcast because we wanted to talk about artists that we love and that matter to us. And I think the reason why I thought we should do Fall Out Boy. I mean, we both wanted to do Fall Out Boy, but my reason behind it, I think, is because just within the scope of our friendship, I think Fall Out Boy means a lot.
Yeah.
And
That was the first concert we ever went to together was Fall Out Boy.
Yeah, and it was your first concert.
My first concert ever at the tender baby age of 19. Yeah, no, but like that was a huge deal for me too, because like that was just after they got back together. Although if you ask any of them, they'd be like, "We never broke up." Yes, you kind of did, but
They broke.
they did. But they got back together. They released my songs "Know What You Do in the Dark." I want to say like on my birthday, right?
It was really close to that.
Yeah, it was either on my birthday or like the day before or the day after. But like I didn't think I was gonna go to this show. Tickets sold out in like 20 minutes. I was like, I'm not going to this. And then your roommate turned up and was like, "Hey, you want these tickets for $30?" I was like, "Yes." What was your first Fall Out Boy song?
Oh my gosh. It had to have been either Sugar We're Going Down or Dance Dance. I actually think it was Dance Dance.
Mine was Dance Dance, and I only know because that was on Dance Dance Revolution. And
Yeah.
that was when I heard the song, and they had the music video for that. And I was like, I love this song. This is my favorite Dance Dance Revolution song. And I kept that and David Bowie. But and then I stepped back from them for a while. And then my sister got me Infinity on High. And that was like the first time I sat down and listened to their album back to like first song to last song. And that's when I think started really appreciating them. This Ain't a Scene, It's an Arms Race is one of the most it's the most dramatic songs I've ever heard.
I am an arms dealer.
Hum Hallelujah. Thanks for the Memories. Who can forget the iconic Kim Kardashian music video that I didn't at the time realize was Kim Kardashian, and now I go back and I'm like, wait.
Nobody knew. It was foreshadowing, really.
And like it's so the song titles. I'm like a lawyer with the way I'm always trying to get you off. Parentheses me and you.
My favorite thing about that song and that song title is that like I'm like a lawyer. I'm always trying to get you off. It sounds so sleazy, but that song's really cute.
It's adorable. It's great. The music video is good.
I love the juxtaposition of that.
They have a really good balance between, this is going to sound kind of weird, but like kind of sleazy thoughts, but also poetry.
Yeah, I think it's what I like a lot about Fall Out Boy and Pete Wentz's writing in particular is that Pete just has this sort of like sarcastic wit about him that's just I really relate to, or
That's
it just like there's something, it's so biting, and I think when you're like an angsty teenager, you
Mhm.
just like you really really get it. Like
Yeah.
you really get that feeling that he
Oh, for
brings
real.
out in his music when he's like pulling out all these like grandiose and dramatic lines, because
Yeah.
that's how you feel inside. Like
Uh,
you, there's so much
yeah.
going on in your life and you're changing, and like nobody understands you, and
Not at all.
it just it comes out in this biting sort of humor and sarcasm, and Fallout Boy really really knew how to put that into music and sort of almost like reach out a hand and be like, hey, we get it.
Yeah. Now, another thing I think is worth talking about, because like the one that got me into them was Infinity on High, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I find with some of their older stuff, you either love it or you don't.
Yeah.
Like when it came to, well, from Under the Cork Tree, I'm not considering their like original older stuff, because like that's got Sugar We're Going Down. Like everybody loves that song. Most of that album is a pretty good example of what you were saying earlier, where it's the raw angst teen
Mm-hmm.
rebellion, and it's good. And it's got that oh god, what's the one where it has the music video with Brendan Urie in it? Oh yeah, a little less 16 candles, a little more touch me.
Yeah.
So like it's a solid album, and like that I think cemented them in the emo scene, if we're calling them emo.
Mm-hmm.
I'm scared of labels now. Don't come after me, OG Fall Out Boy fans. But I think when it comes to Take This to Your Grave, or even the other one, Fall Out Boy's An Evening Out with Your Girl,
Mm-hmm.
like they're the first stuff they put out when they were like 18. People either are like, yeah, I love it, it's raw, it's pure, whatever this is, or people are like, I hate this.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Take This to Your Grave?
Honestly, I
If
I literally like me and John have this argument about Grand Theft Autumn.
Okay.
He loves that song. Like
Yeah.
he straight up thinks it's their greatest song.
That surprises me, considering John is her beau, by the way.
Yeah.
Her boo. Okay.
Mhm.
But that surprises me, knowing what little I know of his taste in music. That surprises me.
Oh, no, he's because of how much older he is,
Oh yeah, that's fair.
he sort of
That's a that's a good point though. Like the age difference. I think because like here we are, we came in when they were a little more polished
Mhm.
and a little more used. Like they had found a sound kind of.
Yeah.
Like you hear the difference in Patrick's voice from Grand Theft Autumn to what was the one? Hum Hallelujah. You hear the difference in his voice, and like from then to now, there's an even bigger difference
Yeah. And like
in their sound.
I think what it is for John is that and like I think this is a good point. Grand Theft Autumn and Take This to Your Grave I think is very much more rooted in sort of traditional pop punk um
Yeah.
of like guys like Blink 182 and even before that Green Day and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's much closer to that type of writing style and instrumentation. And I think that's
Yeah.
what John and people his age, I think that's what they sort of grew up on more. Whereas you
Mhm.
have people our age and people like you and me who grew up straight in the middle of the emo scene. Like we were kids
Yeah.
and that was it. So I think that really sort of alters the way we view Fall Out Boy's career. Me as a 23-year-old and John as a 27-year-old.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, for me, because
I agree.
I love, like, look, I think Grand Theft Autumn is a good song. I
Mhm.
like it, but do I think it's their greatest song?
No,
No.
hell no.
No way.
Hell no.
It's a good song, but
And
I don't think it's their greatest.
I don't think I think too if like you told them, "Hey, your best song was the one that you wrote on your first big album." They'd probably be like, "Oh. Oh no."
They'd be like,
Cuz like I don't know anyone who wants to like be told you peaked when you were 18 years old. Like and like that's the not to bring up like a weird point, but like that's what a lot of the older fans did say when they started sounding like how they do on Infinity on High, like, oh, you sold out, which is why, what is it, the takes over, the breaks over?
Yeah.
I think that's, from what I've read, that song is about, like, oh yeah, we sold out.
Yeah, that's
But, like,
true.
that's every artist's goal is to sell out.
Yeah, people
Like-
have been saying that Fall Out Boy's sold out since their first record. Like,
Yeah.
like
You aren't
honestly.
authentic anymore.
Yeah, and it's
You're making
crazy.
too much money.
And like I think what's great, and what I really respect about Fall Out Boy now is that you can
Mhm.
really tell that they've stopped caring about that. Like,
God, yes. Oh my, from the difference between, okay, because like Folie à Deux
mm-hmm.
was so damn depressing, and it felt so like it's a good album. I like that album, and that's another one where like you either hate it or you love it. To me, that album is as strained as they were.
Mm-hmm.
Like you get the sense that there's a tension in that album, and now it is so free and so creative and all over the place. Like on Mania, okay, I know this album's brand new, topical, but like you and I were talking about this the other day. People, like you have, it starts with Young and Menace, which is this strange dubstep fever dream, and it goes to like songs with like Church, which is this dramatic, orchestrated anthem to I don't even know, to love, to sex, whatever. And you've got Heaven's Gate, which is this slow, soulful number, and then you've got like Sunshine Riptide, which sounds, it's got elements of
Jam.
Rastafarian
That's my jam.
music in it.
That's my jam.
And then you've got Bishop's Knife Trick at the end, which is like such a poignant, strong number, which is more solid rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
Like in this album alone, there's like 7 different styles of music that all somehow like cohesively blend together, which is so strange when you look at something like Folie à Deux, which is one music style. Like arguably, you can say it is pop punk, it is scene, and yet it all sounds not cohesive.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, no.
Like, not all the songs, in my opinion, blend together on that album.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. And I think you really sort of speak to a good point that on Mania, it feels like they're finding a great balance between experimentation and cohesion. They're letting themselves flow with the music and go wherever their tastes go, while still remembering and knowing how to craft a project. And I think that's a skill that comes with experience, and that's why I respect them as musicians. And
Oh, yeah.
I think that even when I don't necessarily like love a song that they do, I can still respect the song that they did, and I can still listen to it
for sure.
and be like, I can hear the craft that went into it, and I can hear the care that went into it, and I think that's important, because you can tell sometimes when an artist like just phones it in, and they're just like,
Yes.
I'm making a song because I need to make a song so I can get that check and go home. Like, you can tell.
Yeah.
But, like, when you listen to Mania, you don't hear that. You are hearing a group of guys that are making music because they want to make music and because they love making music. And that's what they're just going to do. And I think that's why they're an artist that I'm, like, glad they decided to keep making music. There are some artists where you there are some artists that kind of need to know when to stop, but like with Fall Out Boy, I don't think they've reached a point where they're making music that sounds bad, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, like, different isn't bad. And I, honestly, my favorite thing about them is how much they have grown and changed and evolved as artists. Like, honestly, like, the more you grow, the more you stay the same. Like, it's so cliched, but it's true.
Yeah.
Like, if they had stayed with the sound that they had on Take This to Your Grave, they would have been so stale. But, like, it's true. I respect them so much for all the hard work that they have put into everything, especially since Save Rock and Roll. That album was so good, and it meant so much to me as, like, a fan who thought, I will never hear new music from them. I will never see them live. Like, when I became a big fan, I was like, oh, this is all I'll ever get. And then they came out, and it was like, oh, it's Christmas. And I don't know. And a lot of the songs on that album mean so much to me because that album came out our freshman year of college.
Mm-hmm.
And so much went down in accordance to that album that, like, it became a soundtrack for, like, all the ups and downs.
It really did. Specifically, like, I will never, like, I have a distinct memory of the song Young Volcanoes. I remember exactly where I was when I heard it. I was with you and our friend Jane and some other guy that lived on our dorm floor, and we were all in her room.
Yes.
And it was springtime, the sun was shining, I was sitting by the window, and it was just this moment of, like, just pure, like, peace. Like, it's honestly one of the most peaceful moments that I've, like, that I had that year period.
And it's funny because, like, your first memory of that song is so different from my first memory of that song. Where I heard it after I had my first hangover, and I was I was miserable, and there's stuff that happened during that drinking escapade that we won't get into, but needless to say, when I heard that song and the sun was streaming through the windows, I bawled, like, that silent, ugly cry that people can have. But in that moment, it was perfect. In that moment, that song was everything, and it was like a "you're gonna be okay" kind of song, which was good because that year was so stressful.
You know, it's so funny that you say that too, because like you say, oh, it's so different from my experience. Like, your experience was so different from my experience hearing that song for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
But in a way, it wasn't, because when I was listening to that song, I too was just like, in that moment, everything's gonna be okay, and it was perfect. It's sort of the flip side, I guess, of it. In your case, there's more of a, like, emotional, like, sort of, I guess, sad.
Yeah, it was something that, like, I needed to hear it in the moment, but in a way, it's not that different because you needed to hear it in that moment too.
Yeah, it was a reassurant moment for me to know that I made the right choice. Like, that's the way I took it.
How ominous!
Like,
I love it. No, but it really is it's such a beautiful song. That whole album is so beautifully crafted. And I remember, and every time they do this, I always get like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to like that. And then I hear it and I'm like, I love it. But, like, you remember when I saw, like, they had a list of all the artists that they were going to collaborate with, and I was just, I don't know. I don't know if I like this. And then, of course, you hear it, and I think everyone can learn from that, like, in their own way. Like, please give music a chance. Please.
Really? That's it.
Don't write it off.
Give it a chance.
I admit, when I saw that Courtney Love was going to be on the album, I was like, I don't know, what is this? And then I heard it, and I was like, I love this song. It's so good.
That is a really good song.
Yeah. What was your favorite song off Mania?
So here's the thing, and I was messaging you while I was listening to it, and I think like the first few songs I was like, I liked, but I wasn't like crazy in love with. But then I listened to Champion, and I was like, this is my favorite song. And then Sunshine Riptide comes up, and I'm like, just kidding, this is my favorite song. But then the album ends with Bishop's Knife Trick, and I was like on the verge of tears listening to that song. So that's my top 3. If I had to pick,
Okay.
I'd have to say, I want to say Sunshine Riptide is my favorite because the jam is just so good. Like
It's
it's
fun.
just a jam,
fun.
and like
It's fun, but so secretly sad. Because, like, if you
yeah,
listen,
like the lyrics are sad and depressing.
the words are so depressing.
But it's such a, it's like you want to cry. It's like you're crying in the club, and I dig it. I totally dig it. But like I have a special soft spot for Champion because Patrick really goes for it on those runs at the end, and I think that's where Patrick always shines, is when he's able to sort of flex with his vocals a little bit.
Oh God, yes.
Like he's good at like ad-libbing.
Yeah.
Like
he's good at
I love
everything.
him when he's
The
ad-libbing.
man, he plays number one. He's so vocally talented. Which, can I just say, is my other favorite thing about Fall Out Boy, is the evolution of Patrick's stump. Purely Patrick's stump, like just him, because from the start you hear how his voice sounded, and it was that generic pop punk emo whatever, and now he is a standalone voice, and he's so good.
Yeah, he really is. You
He's
really
so
have to
good.
give it to him. He has a, what I like about his voice is that it's a good balance between pop punk and soul. Like
Yes. Gosh, when he did his solo album. Okay, I just want to say, number one, Stay Frosty Royal Milk Tea, shout out, because that song just makes you want to go hard. And it's too powerful. It's the shortest song on the album, and it's too powerful to be longer than 2 minutes and 51 seconds. I was like, I'm just going to go punch a wall for no reason. Also, I really love Royal Milk Tea, so Pete being a weeaboo, that's good. When I first, because I was listening to to some of the singles as they were like being released, like, oh, we're gonna hype the album up, and at the time, I was really into The Last of the Real Ones. Like, that is a very theatrical song, and I was like, I want to see this as like an action movie music video. I don't know why. Young and Menace was good because that came out while we were still finishing our senior year of college, and I was like, this is perfect mental breakdown music.
Kind of. It's a little bit.
And I was the only one who liked it. Like, and like for that reason, I was the only one who enjoyed that song. No one I asked other people, "Do you like this song?" No.
It took me by surprise. And like I've learned to like respect it a lot more as I've listened to it more times. But yeah, coming out of the gate with Young and Menace was a bold and ballsy move, honestly.
Yeah, no, it was definitely, it's the weirdest thing they've ever done that's not a remix.
Yeah.
Like, it's the weirdest thing they've done is just themselves. And you're right, it was really ballsy, and I loved that. That was great. That hit me right where I needed it to hit. But for a lot of people, it was like, oh, are you gonna be super dubsteppy on this album? Like, are you gonna be... And I think they did overall a really great job of balancing the sounds. Like, Hold Me Tight or Don't sounds wonderful, but it has almost Latin undertones in terms of their scale. Heaven's Gate sounded like a beautiful soul
Heaven's
soul
Gate
song.
sounds like Fall Out Boy trying to do an Alabama Shake song. And I can respect that.
I guess.
It sounds like an Alabama Shake song to me. Like, it really does.
I don't know. I don't know if this is...
I feel like Patrick is pulling out his Brittany Howard and is really going for it. And I can appreciate that.
He did. That intro, to me, like, what his voice does in the first 30 seconds of that song, hooked me. Like, that, I was like, this is it. Heaven's Gate, new favorite song. And it really is. It's Heaven's Gate, church, and I think Last of the Real Ones. I really like that song.
Yeah. I remember the day that Fall Out Boy first announced their comeback. Like, I remember bringing you into my room, because you didn't know yet, and I brought you into my room.
No.
And I showed you the video, and you freaked out and fell on my floor.
I think I fainted.
You literally just fell to the floor.
In retrospect, that was slightly embarrassing.
It may have been embarrassing for you, but I remember when that moment happened, I was like, yeah, we're gonna be good friends. Honestly.
It's true though, because like when you meet somebody who's equally as passionate about music as you, it's a good feeling.
It felt good. It was like, you get me.
Yep.
You get me, fam. You get me.
Yeah. And I think over the years, too, that Fall Out Boy led to us introducing each other to new music and introducing each other to new experiences. And overall, Fall Out Boy, you brought us together.
Thanks,
Thank
Fall Out
you.
Boy. Yeah.
That sounded like a joke, but no, I'm being
totally.
sincere.
Like, again, that was one of the first concerts we saw together. And after that point, like, we just started going to shows together, and I would drag you to a bunch of different shows, and like,
I would drag you to shows when I could, or like when I knew things were happening. But you were much more into. I think you were responsible for more introducing than I was, but overall, honestly, that's fine. But it's because of Fall Out Boy. So Fall Out Boy started it all. Fall Out Boy is how I made friends in high school, too. So, my two best friends from high school, I met because of Fall Out Boy.
Bringing people together forever.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the first major music discussion I had with my friend Kaya was over the song Golden, because that was the only, at the time, Fall Out Boy song she liked. And then, like you, she grew to like it more the more I subjected her to them.
I think I want to just, like, end by geeking out again about Bishop's knife trick. Because I, I honestly, I think that song, in a lot of ways, sums up kind of at least where I am in life right now, in some ways. And I think I think it's important, like, to sort of really reflect on that. Because, I don't know, the reason why we started this podcast was we like music, we love music, we want to talk about music, but also we're two post-grads trying to figure out life, and it's confusing and weird and crazy, and, you know, there's something about music that I think, at least for me, it makes me feel safe and reminds me of, like, feeling strong and feeling comfortable and feeling in control. And I think that when I listened to Bishop's Knife Trick, all of that sort of bubbled up for me, which I think is why it almost made me cry. Because the last few lines of the chorus, like, the glow of the cities below lead us back to the places that we never should have left, like, that just really hits. It really hits. And, you know, we're trying to figure out where to go next, while looking back at places that maybe we didn't realize we wished we could have stayed. And I think when you grow up, you have to learn how to let go of that and keep moving. And one day, one day I'll do that, but like, but I do think also there's a learning curve, and I think that's the curve that at least I'm on, and so
I'm definitely on it. I think many of our listeners may be on the curve too. So
I think if you're out there, let us know. We can hold hands together.
Yeah. I think you're right. Yeah. You're right, man. Music will pull us through, and thank you, Fall Out Boy, for ripping my heart out.
Basically.
Yeah. Well said. Honestly.
Thanks.
Couldn't have said it better. And I think with that well-worded final thought, we'll wrap up our discussion on Fall Out Boy.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of Rhapsody and Reverie. I'm your host, Adrienne, and this is Katarina. We're signing off for now, and stay frosty, Royal Milk Tea. Boom.
Outro music.
We did it.